Intro. How do you make decisions? If you don't know, there's a lot of games out there specifically for you. One of those being the hit game Life is Strange, which is about decisions, and also the Pacific Northwest type of vibes mixed in. Those are the two main factors that contribute to the reason the quirky game is good. Mainly the first one, but both factors are good in it. Made by the same people who made Final Fantasy, not really, but published by Square Enix, they decided to try their hand at the cinematic cutscene pick your path type of game. But to throw your ball in the genre park, you need to stand out. So what will make it stand out? The way you make decisions. Decisions in games are usually a linear path. Really, it makes sense. That's how we do that. That's what it's like in Until Dawn, but in Life is Strange, your decisions can be changed, which sometimes is used well, but not always used well. It's something you can sometimes reverse, but because it makes the story interesting, that's why you can do it. But sometimes you can't reverse because Max gets a headache, and you can't go back because also the episode sometimes just dramatically ends after a decision. The gimmick is that your decisions only half matter, as you can experience the story and go back and undo anything mean or stuff you said. It's like taking a test and you can go back and get it graded, but then you can see your answers when you go back. That's really what it boils down to. But there is a story here. Don't you ever worry. Spoilers, BT dubs for the quick summary. So we start off as Max Caulfield as we see a tornado. It's going to hit our small Oregon coastal town, Arcadia Bay. But then we wake up in Mr. Jefferson's class. Scared, so we take a picture and answer a question before we go to the bathroom. We do all this stuff, and then comes in a blue-hair liberal skater punk. She gets shot by Nathan Prescott, remember that name. But don't worry, we save this mysterious girl by going back in time. We do this by rewinding time and hitting the fire alarm. But then we leave and don't tell the principal what happened. But you could, but I didn't, because Nathan is rich. We talk to Kate Marsh, remember that name, and then do a lot of dorm stuff before seeing Nathan Prescott come back in the parking lot, the hit parking lot. He's trying to beat Max up because, why not? But then Warren fights Nathan as we escape was the blue-haired girl from before. It's Chloe, who's our best friend from childhood. So we head back to her place and then we visit the lighthouse after smoking a J or something. Also, something to note for the next day is Kate Marsh's viral online video. She gets bullied by others because of her making out with people and also being drunk, and this drives her to the point of standing on the edge of a roof. So here's where decisions matter, because you can save Kate or not. You can't go back on this one. Don't think you can. It depends on what dialogue options you choose, but I was able to save her, since I also did a lot to make sure she stayed alive, like answering the phone calls. It's just a bunch of mini events you can do. But now we have to figure out what happened to Rachel Amber. So we break into the principal's office. Originally, it was a WMD, but due to our rewind powers, we don't need that anymore. Then we need to talk to the plug, Frank Bowers, who we steal his keys from and get to go into his hit RV by sneaking in. We do some more detective stuff as we find out Rachel had a relationship with Frank. Okay, whatever. Now we have more time travel. Now through photos instead of just simply rewinding. This is where we alter the fact that Chloe's dad is dead, because originally he is. Now he's not, but Chloe's paralyzed. From the neck down, she can't move any muscles, but this is a short-lived, as soon after talking to her and exploring her house, just realizing how bad this is, She just asks us to take her out, like, her life. And so you kind of can or you kind of can't. I did in this playthrough, but, like, it's kind of up to your morals. And bam, we're back in the present day. It was modern Chloe. With blue hair, where we do some more investigations. Then we go to the Prescott barn and find a dark room where there's files for Rachel and Kate and a lot of victims. By the way, here is where the game, like, glitches. It, like, if you want to open that, like, the hatch on the ground, sometimes it glitches. So watch out if you play this game for yourself. It glitches here twice. On both of my playthroughs it did. But we find the victims, and then we head to the end of the world party, where we find out about where Rachel would be. And we go to the junkyard, and her dead body is there, but not before we get injected by whatever it is Mr. Jefferson injects us with. We wake up in his dark room, and he's about to kill us, but we get to travel back to undo this. This also lets us go to San Francisco for the Everyday Heroes contest, but only after Mr. Jefferson is arrested. There is one problem, however. The tornado's back, so we have to go back and travel back in time to when we took that photo. But that puts us where we were originally. So we escape after David comes in and beats up Jefferson after we tell him how to. But he learns Chloe is dead, so he shoots her. He shoots Mr. Jefferson. After we leave, we get to see Warren at the, like, Two Whales Diner. And he gives us a photo from the party. And so we kind of we jump, and we get Chloe back. But we now avoid having her die, but we have to go through our nightmares, aka the story of the game. But afterwards, we have to make the final decision of the game. This is the one it's all been waiting for. You either sacrifice Chloe, your best friend, who you love dear, I guess, or you can sacrifice Arcadia Bay, which is full of people, and those people live lives, and the decision is yours to make. I don't know how you would have made it if you played the game.
Would you rather be with a kawaii Asian or a Hello Kitty Latina? Ooh, decisions. Gosh, look at you Asian, so kawaii. Hey, Latina, can I get a hello?
In the game, decisions are pretty big, and that's how you make the story of the game. It's one of the main gimmicks of the game, but it matters what these decisions do and how they're kind of more accurate to real life decisions compared to, like, Until Dawn. One of the decisions that is made is saving Kate Marchionne. You have dialogue options and have to choose which one is the right one. A 1 out of 4 chance, honestly, if you don't even do anything. You could ignore her the whole time and still save her, which is crazy. The right one would get her to survive, obviously, and not jump from the roof. It's a decision that's important and impacts the story a lot, which is like some decisions in real life. Of course, most of these major decisions are not like the ones in the game where you have to decide if somebody lives or not. But there are major decisions in your life, points at you. Like which job to apply to, for example. It's a big decision that a lot of people have to make. It changes your story and what you do, and a lot of people over time, you could be sad, you could be happy about your job. I don't know, that's you. Because this is what the butterfly effect is, like Until Dawn. Whatever decision you make will have an impact, like a ball rolling down a hill. It will keep going unless you, yes you, Buckster, change the trajectory of it. The way you also make decisions is also similar, but different. While most of the time, you don't have this fancy UI model like that says what decisions you can make, you mainly know the general directions of the decisions you can make. You aren't like a quirky girl like Max, but you have a personality I like to imagine. Everyone who isn't a blank slate makes decisions by what they see best. That's just how humans act. So overall, even though some of the answers seem more quirky and cringeworthy looking back on it, it's probably because that's just how Max makes decisions. We kind of have to deal with that. Of course, you can tell when this was just due to the lingo, but that's kind of just another section, was the vibes. But also the decisions of the story mainly matter in terms of what we do, and the other thing that goes into making decisions, we can't go back after making decisions. That's another weight we have when making like the choices. Weight and the consequences of what happens when we do, say, or like all this other stuff, our actions. We have to live with the decisions that we make, because we know that time is like, it's a line, it's a linear path, and it moves forward, it doesn't move back. We know there's no way to undo them, so we kind of have to pick one and see what happens. That's why they kind of are like, no, be careful. So this is why the main gimmick of the game kind of challenges us. It's the idea that if you know what's going to happen if you make one decision, but can go back and change it to be the outcome in which you like best, you don't have any risk, essentially. You know which outcome will be the best, so you're like, oh, I just won't do that. That's kind of a message in the game, like you kind of have to choose. Not fully, but a little bit towards the end. The living with your decisions message is something a lot of people know, but a lot of people are ignorant to. For example, everyone living in their 20s lives it differently. I like to imagine it's not an assimilated culture. Now, what that is depends on the person and who they are. But some people live it in their homes, more online-ish, while some others go out and like party and like go to the club and all that, which makes sense. Everyone's different in that way. It's a split between the decisions you make for the third decade of your life. Yes, that is 3. You're told to live life while you're young, and this is what that might look like to you. If you were part of the former, where you spent more time online and by yourself, you'll probably see a different 30s or 40s compared to someone who went out and partied utilizing more of their social skills. Again, this isn't a bad thing for most people, because decisions are what drive us to how we live and how we see the world. These are just the diversion paths that people can be put on. But of course, there's a lot of other examples, but that's complicated. I'm not going into that. The only time stuff like this becomes a problem is when you think it's a problem, and when you are uncomfortable with it. When life isn't how you want it, and when life isn't giving you the best options, you change it one step at a time. You can't get your time back, so use it wisely, but you can claim your future back. Looking forward with hope is much better than looking back with regret, because that's part of you. Knowing how your life would have been kind of ruins the surprise of it. But I also wanted to talk about the final decision in more depth you make in Life is Strange, because it's an important one. The one between sacrificing Chloe or Arcadia Bay. Now, I've played this game twice. I've played it 2 times, and both times I choose to sacrifice Chloe. And I want to bring this up because this is a big way in which we make decisions. Sometimes what's right and what's good for us are 2 separate things. Sometimes. The hardest decisions we make come with the fact that those 2 ideas conflict. Sometimes we can't have both, and that hurts. And it makes it harder to pick in some cases, just due to our moral compass. In the example, sacrificing Chloe is kind of what's right in the long term. Nobody gets hurt, and Nathan and Jefferson get busted. But it's wrong to lose somebody who you're so attached to, so it's not best for you. And you wouldn't want your best friend dying because that's your friend. I'm going to be honest. You kind of have to have a moral compass to not want that. You don't want to be alone in the world without them. Or even if you have other friends, there's still a hole in your heart because of the missing person. It's like this gap. All of a sudden it's formed. By the way, when you beat the game, it tells you how many people made one decision over the other. 55% of people chose to sacrifice Arcadia Bay, while 45% of people chose to sacrifice Chloe. It's more evenly split compared to the other choices, because every choice they tell you. But it kind of shows how people think sometimes. If they sacrifice Arcadia Bay, then you won't die alone. Like, you'll be fine. You still have your best friend. I get the ideas of emotional attachment. I'm not a psychopath. Because emotional attachment is a big part of people's decisions. But an underlying factor is you don't want Max to be lonely as well. It's kind of like, I'm going to project myself on you, sort of. It makes sense. That's how we operate as well. So some people just want to sympathize with Chloe. Everyone has their own reasons at the end of the day. But if you played the game, I don't know what you did, so just tell me if you feel like it. I'm not going to bully you. I don't care. But everyone has their own choices to make. I've talked about the vibes of a game when talk about like Night in the Woods. But that was a game like that was more chill. It was a more chill type of game because it was autumn, and autumn is cool. This game, on the other hand, isn't really a chill game perhaps, but it does have this coastal Pacific Northwest vibe to it. It's what you expect if you've ever seen any media that takes place in like either Washington State or the state of Oregon, or just around that area, wherever they claim Cascadia would be. It's not a bad thing, by the way, because this is probably one of the prettiest regions in the US. It has all the lust forests and all of that, but at the end of the day, it has an aesthetic to it overall. That aesthetic helps this game a lot, because overall, it's a sort of coastal hipster type vibe, which makes sense with the characters and the way they speak and interact. There's dated lingo in the game. That's not really anything that's hidden, but I think it adds to the game's, like, the charm of it, in my opinion. It kind of shows you that this is the early 10s, since they say some words like amazeballs. You would never hear that today. Like, and if you do, maybe you're in a 2010s group. I don't know where you are, but congrats. But it helps add to that Pacific Coast vibe since the early 2010s. Kind of fits well with this aesthetic. Like, if you ever imagine, like, Pipster, Millennial, or whatever, you kind of imagine, like, these Polaroids. You kind of imagine these glasses and this, like, that area. It's like, it fits, which is good. And, like, you also might imagine the early internet. And the hipster stuff, as mentioned before, like the mustache on your finger trend and then you put it up, it all culminates in the idea of what the region is, somewhat. Which I feel like, if this game took place in another region, like maybe the Midwest or the Northeast, for example, it wouldn't have felt the same, because it's just not the same region. It's because the environments are different as well, and the environment that the Pacific Northwest has adds to the experience of the game. Also in this vibe is the music that Life is Strange uses. I'll just cover that now because it's part of it. It uses a sort of acoustic, sad music, but it's never too much unless it's something Chloe plays, because Chloe's a punk. Because we mainly follow Max, so we hear her music more, which you kind of would expect. At the end of every episode as well, the music is usually like a slow melancholy song that plays over a montage. It's not really montage music, but that's what they put it over. But you can put any song over it. But it helps the hipster rebel vibe of the game for Max. But it's a different story with Chloe, because, as mentioned, Chloe's a little punk. because there's a whole game dedicated to her, but also her aesthetic is more different. She's a punk rebel who looks like she came from the 2000s. Tank tops, skinny jeans, and like the sort of cowboy adjacent boots, and the blue hair like liberal screams that she's different. You would be able to recognize her in a crowd if she were somewhere. It also helps build the atmosphere of the area. I doubt anybody watching actually lives in the Pacific Northwest, so it might feel different, which is probably the idea since the town of Arcadia Bay. It isn't real, I preface this, it's not real. It makes the town feel more real, so you can be more immersed in it. But overall, the music helps you feel the emotions in the game a little bit, but like, you can sense it without it. Since the sounds are more acoustic, with a few copyrighted songs, you can pretty much be guided with your feelings on how to feel with certain actions or with how the story progresses and all that stuff. It's not bad music. I have most of the copyrighted songs saved on Spotify since I listen to them from time to time. So it's not bad, it's just how the music is used that's a little bit different, but it works. So overall, the music is more of a guide, and it has some standouts. So if you want to, you could listen to it probably, but it's not like, oh, I'm gonna go out and search for it. Like, it's good. It does its job correctly. It helps the vibe. So this game was released in episodes, and so each episode individually is rated, but that would be too many numbers to review or look at. So I think it would be better to just go see what the complete season review is, because that's easier and more concise. And that's the game I played. But there is a difference between the episodes and the remastered version, as the remastered version one came out all at once and is more polished, even though it bugs at that bar and still, like, I mean, it's still more polished, which I know, shocker, but it's the better version of the game to play, it looks like. I've seen the original, and the remaster does a little better job polishing up the graphics. It's not the best, I'm gonna be honest, but not the worst, because they still look like Play-Doh, but it's better than what the original was. But yeah, back to the numbers, and on Metacritic, it has a 70% for the remastered, but on like various like versions, it has an 83 and an 85 for the original across like the Xbox, the PC, all of them. So it's a higher number, but not as high as like the other games on here, which makes sense as this game was kind of an early version of what the Decision games were going to be. It didn't have the face tracking like Until Dawn and how like cool that kind of was. So the animations weren't the smoothest, but for a small team, they did a better job than most people probably would. But it is kind of an issue, because the animations are, you can tell what year it came out. The numbers make sense, because the game is one of the byproducts of the mid-2010s in terms of like storytelling and all that, just because of all the early technology. So modern standards are different, so it makes sense that these numbers would be lower, especially for a remaster. The remaster doesn't really catch it up to modern day, but it tries its best for like the small team. So overall, to me, the numbers make sense. I don't know if they'll make sense to anybody who's played the game, but everyone can have their own opinion. That's free speech. In general, Life is Strange is a game that does some things good, but doesn't do other things well. I like the atmosphere of the game and the idea of the decision making, but sometimes it's not executed too well. It's not like you have your yin and yang, essentially, was the game. The characters also aren't the best, but they do a good job. The game is a game I'd only recommend to a niche amount of people, like, oh, if you feel like you want to play this game, I would say recommend it, but it's not like an outstanding game. It's not like I'm going to be like, go buy this game at full price. I'm not going to do that. That's kind of, one, it's a ripoff, and two, that I leached off of a friend off my Steam library. But overall, I would give the game an 8.2 out of 10. I liked it. You may if you like this vibe and choice-based games, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. So if you want to, then go form your own opinion. That's what decision making is and being human is. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, please comment your thoughts, and if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Pretty please.